So it was just part of being in elementary school. You just practice the drills with a nuclear war, getting under your desk, putting your hands over your head. But it was just always on the back of your minds. Some people had built bunkers in their yard, which there would be real holes underground, and you would go down under, and they would have enough food for a year stocked. In case there was a nuclear attack, you would just go under and close it up and live there for a year until, I guess, a nuclear waste was gone.
There was also the fear of nuclear attack because they had nuclear weapons as we did. So there was a huge outcry to build bomb shelters throughout the world. So you had lots of people who built underground shelters lined with concrete and stocked them with supplies because they were afraid we were going to be in a nuclear holocaust, and they wanted to be able to save themselves. We used to have duck and cover drills in class, like that was going to do any good if somebody dropped an atomic weapon. Ducking under the desk and that kind of thing, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it now, but that was the response at the time. So we kind of grew up in a fear of somebody pushing a button and having the nuclear missiles rain down upon you and us annihilating each other.
All right, when I was growing up, I do remember that we used to have to do the duck and cover drill underneath our desks, and they would show us this incredibly horrific video sometimes of an atomic bomb explosion. And we would watch it, and then they'd say, duck and cover, and everyone would get underneath. And I remember thinking at the time, if that's the explosion, there's no way getting under this desk is going to save me, but the teacher's telling me to do it, so I'll do it.
In our elementary school, this would have been early 70s, 70 to 74 maybe, I would have been in anywhere from grade 2 to grade 5. And in the middle of the elementary playground, there was this massive pole and this huge speaker up above it. And it was disconnected, but it was a speaker for air raids or for emergency go into the shelter. And then underneath the school, Westland Elementary School, we had bomb shelters, and of course we didn't know they existed. But the caretaker of the school, Mr. Reagan, he used to let us go in on weekends to play floor hockey in the gym, and we'd say, "Hey, we hear there's big rooms down under the school," and he'd say, "Oh yeah, those are the storage rooms." But no, they were bomb shelters, and so we are the generation after the people who actually went down into them and hid.
Where in Canada?
Edmonton, Alberta, which. Also, a little Cold War trivia, was the #1 spot to blow up in Canada, according to intelligence, because it's the center of oil production. And if they were going to take out Canada, they'd take out Edmonton, and then the rest of Canada was kind of a non-entity. So they'd go after the United States after that.
When I went to school, I was in elementary school in the late 1950s, and we would have about monthly air raid drills where everybody would line up in the hall. We'd get down against the wall, facing the wall with our legs crossed and our hands behind our necks and our heads up against the wall, and the siren would be going off, and they'd close all the windows down. And that was because of the Russian threat.
I was pretty young. I was in high school in the 80s, middle school and high school in the 80s, and so there was definitely a feeling of the Cold War going on. Everything was about Russia, and we had to be scared and nervous, and World War III was going to break out.
I remember duck and cover drills in high school back in the 70s in a way that was kind of fun because it was an alternative to learning, kind of a disruption to the normal day. But I didn't really think about it until Kevin asked me to look back a little bit further, and I remember we did in elementary school more than just duck and cover. We did duck and cover and then bomb drills, where we would evacuate the rooms and go down into the basement, and in this like cinder block kind of cellar, kind of like my office, kind of think of it, but with shelves of water and canned food for the masses of the school population. It was kind of a small school, only about 400 in the elementary school, but we all lined up and had our little spots on the wall underneath the cinder blocks, and we had to wait there. We practiced with the lights on, and then we practiced with the lights off. We tested all of our flashlights, made sure they worked, and then put everything back on the shelf, and we had those probably 3 times a year. And those were really fun too, because it was like being in a big cave, you know, for a 2nd and 3rd grader. We didn't really understand what we were hiding from, but the feeling from the teachers was a little bit more purposeful.